Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really awesome guest today. She does creative direction and art direction based in New York and works globally. Please join me in welcoming Tara Rice. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you. You ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Cool. Number one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Well, I'd like to think I'm sort of a branding expert. I specialize in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. Generally, my clients tend to be mass and girl focused, although I do a broader spectrum than that.
Cool. Just a note for our audience, Tara and I met in art school 2 decades ago now, and I've kind of followed her work, seeing the kind of a lot of the corporate work that was coming out of what you were doing, which was really inspiring, actually.
Thank you.
Number two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
I think one of the key pieces of knowledge is to, you know, no one's going to have every skill that you're going to need on a job. The important thing is to utilize the people around you for their strengths. I think that I've successfully learned how to do that.
That's great. Yeah, for one of the further questions towards the end, people are asked what inspires them, and a lot of people say that people inspire them, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a
There's a lot of people out there doing amazing things, and it's like that's in the end that's usually what drives me forward, is working with these amazing energetic people. It draws you in.
yeah, no doubt. Okay, number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I really love building these little worlds, it's like sort of making dreams reality. It's people come to me, or come to us when I'm working in a collective and talk about these things that they're trying to make real, and how can we help them. And I find it always inspiring.
That's great. We had your friend on, Chris Save, recently, and I saw that you guys are launching a new kind of effort, aren't you?
Yeah, so me and Chris, we've been working together since school. We all met in school like 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
And me and Chris stayed friends and ever since, and we've done a lot of projects together. I helped him when he launched his Say Vanities. I've helped him on a lot of other freelance work. We've just been working really tightly together for so long now. We thought, why not just make it official,
Yeah, that makes sense. Number four, what does your future look like?
I think, well, that would be Trip, our new collective with Chris Sove. We're working hard to make this a reality. We're just about to launch, and we're super excited to have this agency going.
We recently booked Timothy Goodman to be on the show, and I'm reminded of his project with Jessica Walsh about about their friendship and how they kind of use that as a platform to reach people, reach designers, reach other people based in New York. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and sometimes you just develop these working relationships and you can really lean into your strengths. Like Chris is really the more outgoing, networking, social partner, and I'm more detail oriented and a little bit more like making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So we really balance each other out really well. So when you find a partnership like that, I think it's really important to treasure that because it doesn't come along very often.
yeah, no doubt. Number five, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Well, I've moved around a lot. So is Chris. I really find being in new locations very inspiring. Like I'm always looking for ways to keep my mind active, meet new sections of people that are doing something interesting, keeping my mind very like open and free so I can like brainstorm and just keep being engaged and inspired in the world. I think it's super important with what we do to find ways to keep it fresh.
That's awesome. I like that as a kind of abstract description of place. Some people talk about a geographical place or a physical place, and other people talk about it in this more kind of nebulous way. I think that's really interesting. Number 6, if you had to start from scratch, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I mean, I feel like what I really wish somebody had told me was just stop and be in the moment. It's like, I think when we're young, we're so focused on what's happening next. Sometimes you don't stop and go, this is incredible. What is happening right now is something like, you'd never imagine would be happening right now. So stop, thinking of the next step and appreciate what's happening around you.
I like that a lot. I can't remember which guest. One guest talked about being present and about the focus on the present rather than on the past or future. So that's a great one. Number 7, what's a day in your life like?
Lately it's a lot of Zoom calls. I mean, things have changed a lot in COVID. So, I used to do a lot of the corporate jobs, go in every day, do the big commute, an hour to and from work. But now that we're starting the collective and we're doing this more offsite thing and going in a little less frequently, I have the freedom to really sort of change it up so my days aren't so repetitive. Some days, we still go into the office and really like buckle down and, have one of those like deep trudge work days. Other days we would just want to go see a museum and get some inspiration. So we have that freedom now, which is amazing.
Nice. And I saw that Chris was saying he was working kind of outside of New York City in a kind of more rural area. Is that where you are too, or?
It is. We're just outside Woodstock, so we go into the city on a regular basis. There's a train that goes right there from here. It's just a short drive. And but being outside the city it feels like we've eliminated a lot of distraction, because the city has a way of just filling up your time. So here we can really focus more.
Nice. Number 8's a popular one. Lifelong learning is a popular topic these days. How do you stay up to date?
Oh, I think that's so important. Technology is always changing. Social media is always changing. Like, every few months there's a new trend. Like you have to keep learning throughout your entire career. You can never stop. You can't be afraid to just jump into the new thing. It's the only way you're going to stay engaged with what the trend and what's happening now and what's relevant. And same thing as we progress into our careers, like surrounding yourself, with some younger people too, just to keep you in touch with what's currently popular and keeping you engaged. It's so important.
Great. Okay. Number 9, what tools do you use? Are you a digital nomad? Are you analog as well?
I'm definitely a digital nomad. My PowerBook Pro goes with me everywhere. Thank God technology is where it is today, or my life would not be possible. Between like Dropbox and, the cloud and the way everything is now set up post-COVID, everyone's a lot more comfortable with remote working. It's totally changed my life, and for the better.
Nice, me too. Okay, so we're halfway. Number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
I'm a lot better at it now than I used to be. I think I worked a lot through the early stages of my career, not much balance. Now I'm a little bit more balanced now, of that, having that line where it's like, okay, the work day's over. Let's make time for personal. Of course, your work is going to go through peaks and valleys, and sometimes you got to sprint to the finish line on something. But in general, I feel like if you learn how to project manage appropriately, you should be able to have that balance that we all need to do.
Nice. And 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Oh, wow. Before I met you guys, back in school, I got up to third year ceramics before going into graphic design.
Are you kidding?
So I've always had this dream that someday I'll just quit it all and be a potter.
Awesome. What would you not like to do with your career?
I don't want to do anything with numbers. I recognize that's one of my weaknesses. I'd like to hire for that. Let's see, what else would I not like to do? I mean, I think I don't want to do a big structure where I'm carrying a lot of, global overhead. I never want to be one of those designers who has like a location in every city.
That makes sense. 13, what's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
My favorite one right now is Travel Isn't a Destination. It's a new way of seeing things by Henry Miller.
And the least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
It can't be done.
That's a good one. If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
Daydreaming.
What keeps you up at night?
I think the pace of the world we are currently in keeps me up a little bit at night. I love being up at night because the world just gets quiet and you really have time to process, which right now it's a little hard to achieve during the day. It just feels like everything's really fast right now.
Final stretch, number 17, what's a dream you're chasing?
Though, we're chasing our trip collective, and I just want to work around amazing people who inspire me.
Which segues into 18, what inspires you?
I'm really inspired by the kids today that are coming up. They're doing some amazing things that I find quite inspiring. This sounds like a total old person statement. The kids today.
Good. 19, any advice you'd like to share?
Enjoy the ride.
And number 20, for promotional purposes, how can our listeners keep tabs on you? What should we follow? How can we follow your collective?
So you can follow us on Instagram. The handle is at Let's Trip. So it's 2 underscores between Let's and Trip.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Tara. It's so awesome to reconnect with you after all these years and to hear that you seem to be having fun with what you're doing, and you seem to be just kind of motivated by that kind of lifestyle and choosing things you like to do, which is really kind of refreshing, I think. So
well, you got to remember life is short, so enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.